It's 1:29, call the meeting to order. Okay, and why don't we start? Reed, will you lead us in our prayer?
Will you pray with me, please? Holy and gracious God, thank you for all that you do for us, your children. Thank you for our employees at Mount Vernon Towers who serve us so well. Thank you for the police and firefighters who protect us. And thank you that we are Americans and live in a free country. Help us to protect it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reed. I guess I'll make a motion to approve the first item of business, the minutes for March. April, sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right.
You're a second.
Yes.
Yeah, she seconded.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, second. I don't have a mic. This mic.
All right, Rita, why don't you take us through the financials?
Yeah, so just want to mention, since the last board meeting in April, all the owners were sent the independent auditor review for the 2022 financials. Just want to note real quick on that, the operating profit after depreciation was $965,000. And a net change in cash and cash equivalents was $1,073,907. I was very pleased with how the financials have gone the last year and a half, and just kind of wanted to say that. Of course, through 2023, we'll continue to work on controlling the expenses and increasing the reserves, but I'm sure everyone's taking a look at that. All right, moving on to April financials. On page 1, line item number 1, our total income for April was $529,465, which is better than budget for the month by $4,000. Year to date, we're better than budget on income by $34,500. Moving down to line item 2, our April expenses were $377,863, which is better than budget for the month by $36,000 and $96,000 for the year to date. Our dining expenses were down $16,000 for the month of April, meaning we're $16,000 under budget. That's much needed there. And maintenance repair expenses were under budget by roughly $13,000. The biggest item there is we had put some money in the budget for water-related expenses that we've been able to control. Moving down, I also want to point out that we previously mentioned that we moved the reserve accounts to another management provider in order to have better service and opportunities. In April, we earned $6,000 in interest, which is more than we earned in the entire year of 2022.
Yeah,
That's a good
that
one.
is nice.
One little change and what it can do.
Line item number 4, our net income for the month of April was $138,000, which is better than budget by $44,000. If we go over to column 11, I did not number the columns, but I will moving forward. I've started forecasting, so you'll see that you have the first 4 months of actual, and the last 8 months is going to be forecasting. In forecasting, I look at historical data, just as I do when I do the budget, current run rates for the year, items that maybe one-offs that I expect to occur for the remainder of the year, or items that we budgeted that hasn't occurred, like liquor license and so forth. So just I'll go over that really quick. In income, the forecast shows dining services that has a favorability of $46,000 over the initial budget. And MVT employee expense, employee costs show significant favorability due to being short-staffed in a couple departments in the last few months. We are now fully staffed in all departments except admin, which I'm currently interviewing for one position in that area. Our dining room labor is also part of the labor favorability in the forecast moving forward, which is $59,000 better than budget. Our utility costs are much better than anticipated in the forecast, so that also shows a favorability. I know that Georgia Power just had the increase approved over the next 3 years. I did reach out to our business relationship manager, and according to him, that increase is not going to be applied to us because we are at the commercial rate where they give us our rate every March.
Okay, so does that mean last month we talked about having favorability
Right.
in utilities? And we thought we were going to have a new run rate, but a test was coming up.
Right, we are showing favorability. My concern is when Georgia Power got the approval to increase the 12% over the next 3 years, that would affect us as well. So I reached out to see if it would, and it will not affect us as.
So because it doesn't, we are going to maintain that favorability.
Right.
That is good. And that's basically this, how you're forecasting out the $50,000 of favorability on the budget?
Right. And maintenance cost, like I said, we've been diligent about water-related expenses. We do have some other items in the forecast coming up, such as asphalt sealing, switchgear maintenance, the boiler sensors that have finally been installed that we talked about last year. A boiler replacement for the oldest unit is also in the forecast, as well as the smaller boiler that serves the PCC. So that is all in the forecast. Overall, my forecast for the next 8 months shows a favorability of $291,000 versus the budget. I also want to mention that in April, our property insurance, liability, and auto insurance always comes up for renewal. Since 2018, we've had significant increases each year, anywhere from 6% to 46%. Thankfully, for our 2023 renewal, our premiums actually decreased by 5%.
Wow.
So we had no claims in 2022.
We should be going to Vegas,
Yeah.
because we're on a roll.
Any questions on that? Moving on to page 2, cash management. At the end of April, we had $195,742 in our CD account. Our money market account had $1,517,117. Last month we did move an extra $100,000. Our total capital account has $1,712,859. Total operating at the end of April had $646,026 for total cash in all accounts at $2,358,886.
Is today's May, that's as of 4:30, today is May 24th. What is in the operating? Do you happen to know what is it about that still?
For
20 days have gone by, 25 days have gone by since April 30th, since this report. Do we still maintain 640, around 640 in the operating?
I would have to look for
Okay.
questions today.
All right, I'll make a motion, the same motion I made last month, which was to sweep $100,000 into the capital reserve account. We don't need that much not bearing interest in the operating account. And if it is 640, I would go further and I would say make it 150. Because we don't need to operate with more than 500,000.
Right.
Do I get a second on that?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah.
Hold the mic down.
Is that including some of the unforeseen items that we may have to handle in the next month or so?
Is what included.
Well, if we take 150 and put it into our account, I'm just wondering, do we still have enough money that if anything currently arises, elevator expense?
We probably have up to about $500,000.
Okay.
Right, so, I mean, what we did with the operating account was we said, we're gonna keep a spare month, the whole month of operating expenses, if we didn't get a single dollar of revenue, so.
4.5, right?
Yeah, so if we maintain an extra month in our operating account, so anything more than 500,000, we go into the capital reserve and go grab.
Okay, that's good. I'm just afraid some things are gonna pop up.
Right.
just a little.
No, that's okay,
Well,
that's a good question. It's a good question, because we
I'm
know
working on the
it's
cash,
still
I've been working on the cash forecast, for the finance committee, and I do know that in my cash forecast, the end of April was showing about 562.
That's what's in your,
My cash forecast for May,
for May.
yeah, because we'll have some insurance, down payments on insurance and premiums.
Hey,
We'll still be
listen,
fine.
that's okay, that's okay, 562 is a good number, I'll take it. Right.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm moving, how much?
What? If you're at, yeah, if you're at that, around that 640 number, 150.
Okay.
I would say that if it's not that, then maybe 100, but let's go with 150, it's not gonna, you know what, the motion is for 150, we're gonna move 150.
Let's take it on.
Let's do it.
A second. Oh,
Very
you
good.
seconded?
That's
Then-
it, that's
You
it.
seconded it already, we're
Okay,
voting,
we're
everybody
voting.
good for moving 150?
Good.
Interest bearing account, good.
All righty, moving on to meal data on page 3. Not much change from the previous months. We served 6,112 meals for the month of April. Everyone's aware we've made some changes in the dining room, and there's been some positive results, so looking forward to see the next few months even getting more positive. I have noticed in the last couple weeks that a couple of our days per week that we had really low meal counts has picked up. So that'll be interesting next month to see if that trend stays. Scott, I think you did some calculations on the meals, and you said it was the lowest they'd ever been on meal cost.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep track of that meal cost over the months, and this is the lowest figure that I can remember that Morrison's has done. And it comes in at $20.56 a meal. And they have been bouncing up at $22, $25 a meal. And this is still higher than what they told us they could do, because they were gonna do it at about $15.50, $15.60 a meal, as I recall. Of course, we've had food inflation and so forth, so it should be up maybe around $17 a meal. But they're at $20.56 last month, so that's a nice improvement from where they've been.
Alright. Moving on to sales and leasing. You'll see we've got 2 condos for sale, 3 condos for lease, total of 5, which I think last month at the board meeting, we might have had 10 or 12, so it looks like some condos have moved. Total sales for the year is $2,877,400, which is broken down on the page labeled 4.5. Not really much to touch on that area.
So if we had passed that declaration, we would have an additional $86,000
Right.
Yes.
to go towards our capital improvements.
Yep. All right, that's all I've got on that subject. Board Lake Group's architect.
Okay, on the architectural committee, of course, the big item is the chases. And the committee met, and there was consensus in the committee that we needed to do a replacement on the chases. Primarily to maintain the value of the condos, because once the market realizes that there's a potential for problems with them, the value of the condos could decrease. So that was an important factor in that decision. The committee also has a very strong opinion that when the data is in, that the owners get an opportunity to help with the selection of the materials, help with the selection of the color, and be involved in that final decision that needs to be done. And so that will take place. There's one thing that was missing from the architectural firm's bid request, and that was how do we resolve the ventilation of the interior of the rebuilt chases. And the board this morning decided that we would hire a separate engineer, independent engineer, to come up with a solution on what should be done to prevent future accumulation of moisture in a rebuilt chase. Outside of that, there were several other small items that we discussed, and Rita is working on one of those, and she'll be talking about it later in the meeting. Right. And that's all we have. Outside of the fact that the committee's gonna meet again Friday, and we will discuss what the architectural firm will be presenting to the board tomorrow. Cooper Carey will be presenting to the board tomorrow what the status of these bids that they have been evaluating. So we'll be looking at that on Friday in the architectural committee. That's all I've got. Okay. Go ahead.
I would just add also that we also agreed earlier today that we would have our list of questions for the two bidders, that we would have the two bidders, right, with Cooper Carey, including the architectural committee and the finance committee, come in and present the two vendors would come in and present to those committees and the board, along with Cooper Carey, so that we can have all of our questions asked and answered at that time. And then we'll come back around to sort of getting to the result, looking at how we might lay this thing out for the community. So just wanted to add that so that everybody knows that there'll be a meeting with Cooper Carey, the vendors, the finance committee, the architectural committee, and the board of directors. A lot of eyes on the work.
Finance?
So speaking of finance, we have a meeting scheduled. We didn't meet in the between last board meetings. I happened to go on vacation for a couple of weeks, which was great. And so I didn't have a chance to meet with the finance committee, but on the 8th, we're gonna get together again. We're gonna talk about the forecast methodology. We're gonna talk about the bids and try to come up with some sort of placeholder, financial placeholder for the chases, so that we can give you, the community, a little bit more information about the cost and how it might work out in terms of our obligation to pay that. So that's what we hope to happen in the 8th meeting, get some material out for that through, through the normal channels that we do, plus it'll be the next sort of phase in the small group discussions that Al Burgess has had. So that's what we're going to do in the finance committee meeting. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we'll be a lot further along than we were yesterday. And I think the last thing that I'd say is that the financials today look excellent. Okay, the fact that we are hitting on so many cylinders, all right, whether it's utilities, interest payments, the revenue, the cost of Morrison's going down. Hopefully that's more of a run rate than a anomaly. We'll see. But there are some things that have changed that may make that actually real. Those things, managing the facility, the finance. Thank you, Rita. You're doing a great job. I just want to let you know that. Because it's showing in the bottom lines, it's showing in the growth of our capital reserve, and it's important because it's not the board's, it's maybe some of the board's decision to how to spend that money, but it's not our money, it's the community's money, and you've done a great job of helping us care for that and putting us in a position so that as things arise here, that we're not in such a difficult position. So thank you, Rita. I just wanted to say that. That's it for me.
Anybody leave?
Thank you.
All right. Food and beverage. A lot has changed in the past month for the better. The dining room has seen a lot of improvement since the change. Michelle and Damien, I know, got promotions, and everything seems to be running a lot smoother. We're right now in the process of working on a new menu, and we will be sampling and looking at the new changes. So everything seems to be going good going forward. This is probably what we've been looking for a long time this year. And again, we're here, and any ideas, we're always welcome to listen to. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Better? Okay. So going forward, we've got the new menu coming out. We're working on that. That should be out within the month. By the time of the next board meeting. So Morrison seems to have stepped up the game a lot, pushing Michelle and Damien in higher positions. As most people I've heard have been running a lot smoother. The comment cards dictate that. There's only, I think, a couple for the past few weeks, Rita, right? A couple negatives, period. Most of it's been all favorable. So we've got at the end of October, we were looking at a new proposal from them, and we've got other people we're looking at also. So we're giving them the chance now, and they seem to have stepped up to the plate. So that's all.
Okay, social. First, I'd like to thank the team. We have anywhere from 15 people to 9 people. It varies. So just a general reminder that anyone is welcome. Anytime we have an Eye on Social meeting, you can come, share your ideas. And we do have 2 new activities that we're going to be doing in June. June 12th, we are going to have a buy for nothing sale. Oh, what is that, you say? We are going to use the sun porch to set up some tables. Of course, we'll take a list of folks that want to participate in this. And you can come down and see what wares and goods and tchotchkes that they have on their table, and you can buy it for nothing. So it's come and trash and trinket, not a sale, but just come on down, see what you like. Take it to your condo, not to the hallways, but to your condo. And so that's one of the ones that has been suggested, and we're going to actively pursue that. Also, we've been asked about bringing outside outings indoors, and we have our first one scheduled. I believe it's the first one. On July the 10th, we are going to have a tour of the Georgia Capitol right here in the sunroom. So we can expect about 40 to 60 people to come down, and it'll be by Zoom and be narrated. And we will have some light refreshments since all of the outings have lunch. We'll have some light refreshments, and Rita doesn't know this, but we're going to have some wine too. Thank you, Rita. And we're going to spend a couple of dollars of those that you've been making for us. So those are 2 new ones that we've actually got. Our games have been going very well. They've been attended very well. I do have to give a really nice shout out to Connie Pappas. Is she here today? All right. She has actually gone in to the game room and really has done some organization, and it is much neater, and you can find a lot of things much quicker. So she's taken that upon herself. It was asked, and she did it, and she needs a shout out for that. So we thank her for that. The last thing I'd like to comment on is on the front desk, the purple box is still there. A couple of weeks ago, there was an Eye on Social note with about 7, I believe, activities that were listed. We're still gathering those. I tally them every week, but it's still there. I'm still looking for ideas of what we are looking to do. We don't want to put a lot of time and effort into something that no one is interested in. Okay, kind of saves our saves us for doing something that you really would like to have. So continue to fill those out and send them, put them in the purple box. I'll grab them. Thank you.
I'm gonna add one thing to that.
Yes?
Just a reminder that our picnic and cornhole tournament's rescheduled for June 10th, but also we've got 2 new activities that'll be available at that event, is axe throwing and putting green, so that's gonna be pretty fun.
All right, I practiced the axe throw today. That, That's a challenge.
That's right. That's not a
Susie got
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
bullseyes, so.
and you need to be careful, so people should not, when playing that game, should not walk in front of the target.
We'll have it roped off.
Just gonna say. I guess if that's all the committee stuff we can talk about. Is there any other business for the board? There's a couple of things on the agenda.
Yeah, so the first one is the asphalt update. That is scheduled for June, and what that will entail is, from the, coming in the driveway, all through the front circle, all the way through the gates up to the parking garage and even the employee lot, they'll come in, patch all of the bad places with about 4-inch thickness of asphalt, and then they will seal everything and restripe. That will take some maneuvering of vehicles and parking for a few days, but we'll get it out there well in advance. That is scheduled for June. That would, okay.
That's good.
Next item was condos for sale sign update. You just wanted to know where we were at on that.
Right.
It's been placed in the front, down by the sign. It does have the front desk phone number on it. Condos available in our phone number.
Wi-Fi update.
Oh, Wi-Fi update.
Like you can tell us who's right here.
Well, the last 3 months of 2022 was really a nightmare. So compared to that versus the first quarter of 2023, we've come a long way. We purchased some switches, a new gateway. Obviously, we're not where we would love to be, but we're never going to be perfect with our system. We are trying out a couple experimental things in a couple areas. We're not going to tell where, but so far it's going well, right, Clay?
Yeah.
And depending on the testing with that, they may be an avenue. Comcast has looked at it. Of course, they're interested in getting the TV service along with internet. We currently have a contract through next summer on our DirecTV service, which we own all the equipment already for, but we just have the service through them. Google Fiber has been in, done some site evaluations, some analysis. We're now waiting on them to provide an actual quote. That would be service in each individual condo. That seems to be the best scenario right now, depending on the cost of what it comes in at. I know just as of today, they're still evaluating it.
Do we already have fiber to the building?
Yes,
So it's, and then do we have fiber in the risers?
no.
No, okay. So having Google Fiber out, is that to just more fiber
It would
that'll
be-
connect to the premise?
Each condo would have its own individual connection.
So they're gonna run fiber through the riser?
Yep,
And they won't charge us for that, right?
no. it
No,
would be-
they'll get their subscriptions, right? That's what they'll want.
Right, yeah, that's exactly how it would be.
Yeah, okay.
I know they've thrown out a couple numbers, I'm not gonna quote them because the number will stick, but for what they've thrown out for 2 different options is not bad compared to what we pay at home,
Mm-hmm.
so. I know the past few weeks, there's been some instances where we've had to reset the Wi-Fi, it's not been working. I believe they found a bug in the firmwaire, right, that you
Yeah.
guys have been working on. So that's the issue there, so we'll see if that fix is gonna hold up, but like I said, in the grand scheme of things, we're better right now than we were at the end of last year, but with our system and, being outdated, it's about the best we could do until we get better resolution of having individual condos.
Fiber would be the best, because that would take us a long way into the future too. So, and it would eliminate some of the crosstalk between condos and give us a whole lot more features too, so that's good.
Removal of obituary table.
Can I just ask one more thing about that? If they're going to bring fiber and up the rise, and the intention is to be able to connect it to each unit, right? Have we talked to them about making sure that there is fiber connections in common areas, common spots, as well, as opposed to just being in the units? Because it would be great to have it in the parlor or, the two different ends with a, with the hallways end, something like that, the elevator.
I'll check on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Removal of obituary table.
Well, that came up in some of the conversations at the architectural committee, and it's nice to recognize when people have passed away, but it's also right in the entranceway that announces it to every visitor that comes in, and the thought process is there a better place to put it, or should we remove it altogether from the lobby areas?
I think we should put it on a TV for only the residents to see. The outside people don't need to see coming into here three or four people who passed away. So that's just a suggestion.
I think it's a good suggestion.
It's also been suggested in the back lobby where we took that old activities office out, there's an inset cabinet there that's got a light. It's been suggested to kind of make that a nice little area because it sits kind of back in there for that memorial.
And that would be an easy move without having to keep up with something going on TV. Or we could do both.
Just so long as it's not there when we're bringing new people to tour the place.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
Because I know originally we talked about maybe moving it back to that table that's right at the dining room entrance. But then some people got upset with that too, and it went back to the front lobby. And that's not such a, it's just almost in your face too much. So, shall we then ask Rita to move all that back to the back lobby on that little inset counter that's there?
We talked about that, because I thought that was a great idea. The only thing is, it's small.
Yeah.
And at some point in times, you may not have enough space. But I did like that idea. We have another thought for that place to fit the size of it. But the wall in the back lobby that goes to the Magnolia Room, it's the opposite of the fireplace. That might be a good place to have it because it's kind of out of the way and you still have the space to place how many ever, pictures and. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's the wall on the outside of the the Magnolia Room. You're going into the Magnolia Room and the door is there. The wall is on your right.
So the green chairs.
Yeah, where the green chairs are sitting. So that might be a nice place. It's still got enough space that it doesn't protrude out to the door of the Magnolia Room. And then you could use your table.
Yeah, you need to hang stuff there. As you punch holes in the wall.
No, you don't hang things, do you?
No,
No,
not
they
now. We have to have a table there.
Yeah, but
You'd have to get a table of the right size.
right.
Okay, so I don't.
We could even use the table that's out there, just move it.
You'd have to work the spacing. I don't know the spacing off the top of my head.
We can take a look at that.
We
Does
take a
somebody
look.
want to make a motion on it?
We need to make a
move it?
motion
I
to
don't
do it.
know. I don't think we need a motion for it, but do you want to
No.
move it?
Just Yeah, have the administration to take a look at it, and the size and.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
like
just
the
see
table
what we
may
can
stick out far. If it's the same table, we can look at it, do some measuring.
You probably have a smaller table too. So, just take a look at that.
So you're gonna try to move it?
one of the two areas.
Okay. And then consider the, maybe a TV thing
Yeah.
for a day or half day, whatever it is,
Yeah,
I mean, it's on a loop, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everybody, that's what you're gonna hear, not everybody's gonna see it, so that's why having another option.
yeah.
Can you put a picture on the TV? See, that's what I would use. We'll talk.
All right, that's it for the agenda, right? Okay, so I guess we'll move to floor questions. Okay, we got some floor questions, so Susan will get around. You had one in the back, Doris was the second one I saw. Carol's third.
Okay, I have a couple questions. On the sales and leasing, B802, what's happened to it? Is it sold or something? And on the 7th floor, I've seen a couple of Palmer property signs on the B wing, but they're not listed.
Signs?
In the door pocket.
I don't know unless that's Brad, I don't have any signs out.
Wait,
I can't hear you.
Unless Brad has that out there, I don't have any signs out, so I'm not really sure. Brad?
Well, there's two signs on the B wing of 7 that say Palmer Properties in the door pocket. Are they for sale, for lease, what?
So on the 7th floor, so we sold, there were
Give
two
him the
on each
mic,
side
please.
that were sold.
But they're not
They should be in
listed,
the door.
but they're not listed here either.
Susan, give him the mic. Give-
right, the condos that are listed on here is condos that they have actually listed with me. If another realtor has something, or any realtors have something that they have not listed it with me for sale or lease, it's not on here.
Right, so A700s are probably not on there because the owner is going with it.
Okay. Then on the memorial table, I don't think we want to sit waiting for a meal, looking at the pictures maybe. But if you put them over on that wall towards the Magnolia room, half the people don't go there. Is there any way to put them in the mail room? We've got that table for, miscellaneous.
I think when you walk through and come down to the sunroom, which the sunroom is used just about every day, people would see that table there. But we'll take a look at it.
And then the last question, talking about cable and all, is that I have a recorder, with your cable, and probably every 20th program I try to record doesn't record. I've asked them about it, and they said we don't have any new ones, we just have old ones we recycle.
It's the first time hearing about it. I can check with David on it. You talking about the DVR?
Yeah.
Well, it only holds so much too. Sometimes you gotta erase some of your older to get new.
Well,
Like
I actually
mine
got-
fills up, so I
Yeah.
have to
Right,
erase.
no, I know. And it tells you what percent is full. Though I got a new box about a replacement box about a year and a half ago because of problems. And so, for a while I had like 60% free or something, and yet I still had that problem with some of the programs. Because they say they're reused, they're not new equipment, they can't get new to work with our system.
Tell them to put it away.
I've got a quick question.
I'd like to thank whoever has been in charge of trimming back the shrubbery where our property meets Mount Vernon Road. It's been a hazard, and I've seen people out there this morning working on it, so thank you very much.
The shrubbery.
I've lived here a long time. I am not familiar with the term risers. Would you explain to us exactly where they are are they in the walls, or when you say a riser, is that where the plumbing comes up? What?
these are channels that rise from the main floor up through all 10.
All right, in
And-
other words, every stack
Every, well,
that has a riser that
the-
you could put fiber optic in.
well, more than likely, these are gonna come up through what is the electrical room on the, on each floor, which is that room that's kind of
Yeah, I
behind,
know, yeah.
behind the laundry area.
Mhm.
And this would be where the cables were pulled. Because these fiber cables, when you look at one, it looks exactly like any other kind of wire you've ever seen.
I have seen fiber optic, I just didn't know where they were going to rise to.
Yeah, no, I think
But
this
then
was,
how are you going to get it from that electrical room to the individual condo?
it would go through the hallway ceilings, first of all.
Okay.
And then the challenge begins.
I know, that's why I asked the question.
And so I think that's probably what Google Fiber is working on, is to see what they're gonna do with sheetrock ceilings to get them into the condos.
Well, and then we've got the concrete firewall.
Right. Well, that's
So-
pretty easy, that's pretty easy to get through. But, you know, the, getting over the ceilings and not having to punch out a bunch of ceilings is gonna be a challenge. And so, we're waiting to see what results they come up with on that, what solutions.
I'll buy you a drink when you solve it.
Yeah, thank you, Doris, I'll be looking forward to it.
First of all, you guys do a great job, and I think the board is doing very, very well. You have brought up some things as far as putting the pictures of the folks that aren't with us anymore. Many, or at least some anyway, condos don't have the in-house TV. So that might be a problem that way. Not everyone would see it. So, but that's, if you guys figure out where you're gonna do it.
Right.
As far as the asphalt, and it's gonna start from the street, is that it?
Yeah, from the entrance.
On Mount Vernon or Johnson Ferry?
So our front entrance, that, on our property.
Right. Has anybody told us yet what they're gonna do as far as putting a new road in front of us?
I haven't heard anything recently. You?
The last word on that was that the city was having to go through an eminent domain process on 3 properties.
Are we one of them?
No.
No. Yeah. That's been going on for a while.
Here it would be 300 properties.
Yeah.
And they have steered away from us totally because we have 300 properties and that would be a bigger challenge.
Great, that's good.
They've been fighting those 3 properties for a while.
They've been fighting it, so that's what's delaying their decision process out here also. They've got the plans, and of course, eminent domain will happen, and it's just a matter of how much money the city's gonna have to pay out to these people.
Okay, I appreciate that. Scott and Brian, you're, talking about what's going on with the chases at this time is very encouraging to me, because the sooner we know what's happening, the sooner the small groups can tell everybody what's happening, and just the things you've said today sound really good, so thank you for that. Okay, back into the dining room. The other day, I was going in to have my lunch, and I saw Rita with 2 other folks walking around. Were those folks from our place, or they look like somebody that might be from Morrison's? I couldn't figure out who they were.
They were from another vendor that will be looking at quoting or sending a proposal in August.
Oh, okay, that's nice. And as far as the chef's tables, they're now, I think, 3 a week, right? 2 on Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday lunch, right?
Right.
Okay, does that save us any money because we don't have to have the wait staff?
Well, we've had them on the Monday, Wednesday, Sunday. The Tuesday is something new. You spend a little bit more on food, but you save on labor. So yes, because labor costs more than the food.
Right, so are we making money on not having?
They're very well attended. We've
Yeah.
had right at 100 the last 3 Tuesdays.
Yeah, I think they're a great idea. I was just trying to make money for us rather than Morrison, so thank you, you guys have done great.
Can I, before a gigantic rumor starts at this place, because that's what happens. Yes, we had another vendor come in and look, right? Somebody who had looked originally a few years ago. The Morrison's contract, as many of you know, expires. We have options to renew it. We have options to rethink it. We have options to keep them, move on. It is a pragmatic issue for us to review all of our options to make sure that we're making the best decisions that we can and we get the best performances that we can get out of anybody. So it isn't something that people should walk away saying, oh my God, Morrison's is gonna go away, or somebody else is coming in. Decisions like that are not close to being made yet. We are making sure that we are doing the diligence that we are required to do as a board to make sure that we've got the best service, best environment, best cost possible. So it's nothing more than that, nothing else to see. So.
I have a question that was partially addressed during the meeting, but when I consider the Cooper Carey gives presentations just to the executive board, my question has to do with, has any consideration been given to having the presentation done here where owners can listen in and hear what's going on rather than wait for second and third hand information?
I'll tell you what, we can definitely think about it. We can definitely talk about that as a board. There are, what I don't want to do is overwhelm anybody. I want to be careful about how we control the questions and answers. Now, I certainly, off the top of my head, recording it, is a viable option, and then making sure people can see everything that went on. I just want to make sure that we don't create an environment for the vendors or for Cooper Carey or for ourselves that doesn't necessarily help us to be focused on exactly what we need to do. So I don't mind talking about that. I don't mind finding ways to make sure that information gets transparent. But I don't know about just having an open meeting.
Well, I wouldn't think open meeting as much as just given the opportunity to sit and listen.
Mm-hmm.
You should cut off, we're not allowed to talk, and I would think that probably only interested parties would even come.
That's probably
That was
true.
just,
I mean, we might even, we can talk about all the different vehicles that we have, right? And how many people might want to attend. I know that there are certain people who might want to attend that would be interested, but sometimes there are a lot of people that just want to know, right? So.
Well, as we stated before, and you mentioned the fact that there would be partially addressed, because there would be a time when we get Cooper Carey, the bidders, and ask the architectural committee and the finance committee, which kind of represents, I think, most of the people who are, as you say, they're very interested, that we've already said that we're going to have that kind of a meeting. But whether we open it up just to a general owners, it's a good thought. We ought to look at that. We ought to think about that. So.
Thank you. And I think that this probably has been addressed, but I just wanted to clarify for myself because of the complexity of contracts that these bidding firms submit to little MBT. Do we have access to a qualified contract analysis person that can actually look at and evaluate and read and make sure there's not gotchas in the contract that, there's a lot of contract I sure wouldn't understand.
It's a fabulous question. In fact, that was one of the other discussions that we had today, which was to ensure that we did hire somebody or made sure we had somebody who is on staff that could look at these contracts, look at the potential contract in a professional manner. Not, this is not going to be this isn't like going to get an vending machine. So we're committed to making sure that we have the right eyes on a contract for us to support what we want to do. Very complicated, and it can easily overrun if we don't have the right contract.
Well, I might as well ask the last one, having to do with the sign. I appreciate that this condo for available condo sign out now. I didn't know if it would be possible to change the wording, but because I was caught in traffic coming in and sitting there looking at the sign, it really doesn't address that we're an active adult community and that it's sale and lease. And I think those are two things that are kind of important. I think, I would say with all the population growth in Sandy Springs being a lot of young people, that parents would be candidates for an Act of 55. They might look at it and not even know what we do here.
What's our large sign say, the one that's in ground? Mount Vernon Towers, active seniors?
Yeah.
I think it says active senior.
I just never see that sign.
Yeah, it's the permanent one.
Yeah, I know, but.
Yeah, condominium for active seniors.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, there's two things I've learned here. First of all, I just found out that we only have table service dinner Wednesday and Friday now, only 2 nights a week.
You have Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Nothing's changed with
I thought you
that.
said something about buffet on Tuesday.
That's at lunch.
Oh, at lunch. Oh, yes, okay. And secondly of all, I also learned that these reports on sales and leasing are not accurate because they don't include everyone.
Well, if you're selling your unit on your own and you don't let me know that you're selling your unit, then I can't report on it. So I can only report on the units that realtors or owners notify me that they're being listed.
But doesn't Susan do something when people move in?
Orientation.
That's orientation. It has nothing to do with sales and leasing.
No, but at least you know somebody new is moving in and they either leased or bought.
I'm sorry, I'm confused at what you're
Well, I mean,
asking.
10 people could move in, but only 2 of them do you know about.
This report has nothing to do with who's moving in. It's the condos that I know that are available to be shown for sale or lease. The page 4.5 is all the units that actually have been sold, and we do know about those.
Okay, so that other list includes them no matter who sold them.
Right.
Okay, I was confused on that. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any other hands, so I think we'll adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second on the adjournment?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, set the next
Brian,
meeting.
well,
When's the next meeting?
Oh,
Nope, our next meeting.
Scott always forgot that too.
I
June
did.
21st at 1:30. June 21st at 1:30.
June 21st, okay.
Doris, that is my Achilles heel.
I had another question.
Thank you, everybody.